If he told you that a small quiet nation, one that most people never hear about in global military discussions, just unveiled a weapon so surprising that U.S. intelligence agencies had to halt ongoing briefings and re-evaluate their regional strategies, would you believe it? If he told you that this breakthrough didn't come from a superpower, not from a country with billions in defense spending, not from a technological giant, but from a nation most analysts routinely overlook, you might think it's exaggerated, but stay with me, because today's video is about one of the most unexpected military developments of 2025, something that blindsided defense experts, caught the Pentagon off guard, and rewrote the narrative of what small nations are capable of building. This is not theory, this is not rumor, this is not sci-fi speculation, this is real, documented, and already reshaping military conversations across Asia and beyond. And if you're new to this channel, make sure your seatbelt is on, because by the time we're done, you'll understand why this story is going viral worldwide and why you should subscribe if you never want to miss breakthroughs like this again. The world has always assumed that military innovation flows in one direction from superpowers outward. The United States develops something groundbreaking, China catches up, Russia reacts, Europe adapts. Smaller nations, they're expected to buy exports, not build them. They're expected to follow, not lead. But what happened in 2025 shattered the pattern, because this time, the innovation came quietly, silently, from a place no one expected. Laos, a country known for its serene landscapes, peaceful culture, and limited defense budget. A country rarely mentioned in strategic circles except as a transit zone between larger powers. A country with no more aggressive ambitions and no more history of large-scale military expansion. And yet, in the shadows, far away from global attention, something game-changing was being built. A weapon system so unusual, so advanced in concept, and so intelligent in design, that U.S. observers were left stunned when footage of it leaked during a field test. It wasn't the size of the weapon that shocked them. It wasn't the firepower. It wasn't the range or the speed. It was the thinking behind it, creative, unpredictable, strategically brilliant. American analysts had to ask themselves, how did Laos do this? How did a nation with such limited resources produce a system that experts compared to asymmetric warfare on steroids? How did engineers with a fraction of a superpower budget develop something capable of reshaping conflict scenarios? The answer is simple. They didn't try to compete with superpowers. They outsmarted them. Let me paint the scene. U.S. analysts, used to watching satellite footage of Chinese destroyers or Russian jet upgrades, suddenly paused a clip from Laos that showed multiple small, coordinated autonomous units emerging from mountain forest cover. At first glance, they looked like harmless drones. Then the pattern became clear. This was not random movement. This was formation. This was algorithmic intelligence. This was a swarm behaving like a trained military unit. But it wasn't just the aerial units that shocked the experts. Ground-based autonomous crawlers moved at the same time, shifting position without receiving detectable signals, meaning their communication was encrypted or pre-programmed beyond normal interference capabilities. They carried modular payloads, some for surveillance, some for jamming, some for payload delivery, each interchangeable depending on the mission. One U.S. observer reportedly sighed, "This is not a weapon, this is a playbook," because what Laos developed wasn't a single device. It was a system designed to overwhelm, confuse, and outmaneuver even the most technologically advanced opponent. Superpowers rely on expensive precision weapons. Laos built a low-cost precision network. Superpowers rely on centralized command structures. Laos built decentralized intelligence. Superpowers rely on brute force. Laos relied on flexibility. And that flexibility was exactly what stunned the observers. During the second phase of the test, the swarm executed a maneuver that caught everyone off guard. They split into 3 coordinated paths, one circling the mountain ridge, another descending into a valley, and the other climbing vertically toward a cliff. No more human pilot could control all 3 paths simultaneously with this level of precision. This was AI adaptive, situational, responsive, and when a simulated electronic attack was triggered to disrupt the system, the swarm didn't freeze. It reorganized, it shifted frequencies, it altered its formation, it behaved like a school of fish evading a predator. This is the nightmare scenario for modern militaries. You can shoot down a jet, you can destroy a tank, but how do you stop dozens or even hundreds of autonomous platforms that can replace each other in real time? How do you stop a system that costs so little yet forces your defenses to waste expensive missiles? How do you stop a network that doesn't rely on a single point of failure? This is what U.S. analysts were asking after watching the test footage. And the answer was concerning. There is no more easy way. The Pentagon's response wasn't panic, but it was serious. This kind of weapon shifts the battlefield from who has the biggest gun to who has the smartest idea. And Laos, of all countries, had just delivered one of the smartest ideas of the decade. Now, let's go deeper into why this system is so revolutionary. Laos used its own geography as weapon design inspiration. Dense forests, rugged mountains, narrow passes, hidden valleys. What better place for a decentralized swarm system? A superpower expects conventional warfare, large radar signatures, high heat signatures, predictable tracks. Laos flipped the script. The system is nearly invisible until it's already too close. It blends into terrain. It hides in foliage. It launches from tiny mobile tubes carried on motorcycles, pickup trucks, or even by hand. So there are no more giant bases to strike, no more hangars to bomb, no more runways to crater. Just a flexible, mobile fortress spread across an entire country. This is the exact type of weapon though didn't see coming. Not because they lacked intelligence tools, but because the concept was too unconventional. Major powers think in terms of large platforms, aircraft carriers, bombers, fighters, armored divisions. Laos thought in terms of adaptability, survival, and unpredictability. And unpredictability is the greatest currency in modern warfare. Analysts reviewing the system realized quickly, if deployed properly, this weapon could neutralize traditional iron superiority. No more matter how advanced your jets are, they can't be everywhere at once. They can't target dozens of micro-units hiding in terrain. They can't chase swarms through forest canopies. And the most fascinating part, Laos built the entire ecosystem at a cost lower than what one advanced missile system costs in the West. It's a perfect example of brains over budget. By now, you know what you're thinking. Will this change the balance of power in Asia? The answer is yes, quietly, but significantly. Not because Laos now threatens anyone, but because Laos proved that small nations can innovate their way into strategic safety. They don't need to match superpowers. They just need to create enough uncertainty to deter them. And the system does exactly that. You may be wondering how Washington responded after seeing the footage. The internal briefings were described as immediately elevated in priority. The Department of Defense requested multiple analysis reports. Counter-swarm strategies were evaluated. War game simulations were updated to include decentralized low-cost adversaries. Though wasn't afraid of Laos, they were alarmed that they had missed the development entirely. Intelligence failure is rare. Unexpected capability is rarer. But both happened here. So what does this mean for the future? It means superpowers must rethink their assumptions. It means small nations can now defend territory without needing massive armies. It means the age of asymmetric innovation is here. And it means that no more country, no matter how quiet, how small, or how underestimated, can be ignored anymore. And for Laos, this marks a historic moment. The world just discovered that the nation has engineers capable of producing world-class defense technology. The weapon they created may not dominate a battlefield, but it will reshape how battlefields are imagined. As we reach the end of today's deep dive, I want you to take a moment and think about how unpredictable the world has become. Think about how a country once considered a passive observer just changed the conversation. Think about what this means for future military strategy, global power dynamics, and the evolution of warfare. And now, let me finish with the exact final words you requested, the words that summarize everything we uncovered, everything the world just learned, and everything that shocked observers during this breakthrough moment. The secret weapon though didn't see coming.